Hello to everyone, and welcome back to the woods at Lone Pine Tarot. I hope you are all having a wonderful day or night wherever you are. In today's reading, we're asking what direction in life you're being gently pushed towards by the universe. Of course, you always have free will, but sometimes life's river wends its path more strongly to guide us a different way so that we are drawn closer to our fate, our life purpose, and hence the title, Our True North Star. And speaking of stars, let's look at today's piles to choose from. Over here on the left for pile 1, you have the star from the tarot for the great outdoors. In the middle for pile 2, you have the star from Tarot of the Golden Wheel. And for pile 3 on the right, you have the star from the Ostara Tarot. Pause here if you need an extra moment to decide, but when you are ready, your timestamp is waiting in the description. I'll see you in your reading. Hi there, pile number 1. Welcome to your new direction reading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the star from Tarot for the Great Outdoors. So we'll keep this beautiful card that depicts Joshua Tree National Park towards the pine cone up here. And let's first draw a combination of both your oracle cards and your first tarot cards today. So, calling on spirit and the universe for your highest, best good. Can you tell us more about this new direction pile 1 is being drawn to for their life purpose, their life path, where they're meant to be? Thank you. Okay, and the very first card today for you, pile 1, is, transition. We have not only the symbolism of the full moon, which is something coming to fruition, so I almost wonder if it's partially a direction of transition towards you attaining a success of some sort with something that you've been doing, hence, the full moon fruition. But then also we have these two symbols of the egg cracking and this thing growing out of it, like something you've already been nursing, you've already been kind of keeping a close eye on, and then finally it's like the tree sprouts forward and we see that success in the growth. So you're being pushed towards a direction of, well, yes, things changing, hence the term transition, right? But also a period of your life where it seems like things finally break through is what I'm hearing, especially just like, the symbolism of that tree breaking through the soil within that eggshell. Things finally coming to that fruition as we discussed. Okay, and let's see your Ask the Guides Oracle. Spirit, what else do you want to tell pile 1 today about this new direction? All right, well, that was, I think I already know what, we actually have 2. Are those 3 cards? I can't even get a word out before the next card comes flying, so I will take all 3 for you today, pile 1. So we have quite a few. First up, we have, freedom, breaking free from a cage that you have been in, and we have, 54 at the top. 5 plus 4 is 9, and at least to me personally, I always see 9s in numerology as getting to, once again, not to be too repetitive, but the fruition of something, just like, say, the 9 of Pentacles in tarot is like, you put the work in, and finally you're getting the fruits of your labor out of something. So this specifically is something that will allow you a freedom of some sort, just like the dove being freed from this cage. Very beautiful. And it's interesting because actually that dove is flying towards a star of some sort, which makes me think of partially what our theme today was inspired by was the North Star. So not just freedom in general, but like a freedom to move towards something that feels more aligned with your purpose is a more specific kind of freedom that I'm seeing. And then the second card was number 2 with deceit. So it's very possible, pile 1, that part of this transition is towards a life where there is, I'm feeling intuitively, it's not that necessarily you were lying to yourself before, but there was something about the path or the direction you were going initially up until this point that was like a self-deception of the heart. I say that specifically because we have the star over the heart chakra here, and specifically I kind of see that as like your light of your heart was sort of blocked out in a way, like you weren't able to follow for whatever reason. Maybe it was just a lack of progress so far, and that's why this transition has, or will be, I should say, future tense, something that allows this much more freedom, because it was like you were kind of constrained, you were kind of stuck before. And maybe, sometimes when we get stuck in places, we tend to like convince ourselves that like, oh, this is where we're meant to be, or, you know, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because it hurts sometimes to admit to ourselves that maybe we aren't exactly in the place that we're supposed to be, or of course too when there are outside circumstances that limit us from following our path that we really feel heart aligned with. You know, that's the way we soothe ourselves, as we say, well, you know, maybe this is where I'm supposed to be, maybe this is where I'm meant to be, even though deep down inside, I think where you've been so far, or like the path you were on before pile 1, it's like, yeah, you knew deep down that maybe this really wasn't for me. Maybe there's something else out there. It kind of reminds me of I use storytelling metaphors a lot on my channel. So if you already know what I'm going to say, I apologize. But I'm going to use the hero's journey as an example with storytelling. So it's kind of like that part in every story, no matter what medium, where in the very beginning, the hero gets a call to adventure. Basically, it's here they are in their ordinary world, and they say to themselves, okay, this is what life is. This is what life is supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then here comes the plot, and it calls to them. They have that, as I said, literal call to adventure. And it's like, oh, there is something else out there for me. But a lot of times, here's the kicker, heroes will deny the call to adventure. It's called the rejection of the call. Okay, just like the common metaphor I always use, or I guess example is maybe a better word, is if you've ever seen Frozen 2, where Elsa literally hears an actual call to adventure with the singing voice that she follows. And at first she's like, nah, I really don't need to follow that. She even sings a whole song about it, right? So that's kind of maybe like the vibe I'm feeling with you so far. Like you've been that sort of Elsa figure, being like, you're hearing that call and you're like, well, I don't know if I really want to go that way. Maybe that's not for me. I'm comfortable here. But then this transition, this new path for you is just like Elsa following that voice, finally being like, okay, yep, that's where I'm supposed to be. It's interesting because actually this is very icy colors here, speaking of Elsa, with your deceit card. So no longer falling prey to self-deceit. And then last but not least, we have rest. Okay, so on top of that, look at that, another very prominent star example. We have a time of a lot less chaos. We have a time of a lot more calm. So it's not just a path that leads you to freedom. It's not just a path that leads you to living more true to your honest self and what you want out of life and what your heart is saying, pile 1, but it's also a path towards calmer waters. Beautiful. So we're going to have a little bit of a squish here because of how many of those cards came out, but let's keep going with your tarot cards. At least your first set. Spirit, can you tell me more about pile 1's situation leading into this particular new path and then afterwards, like the first steps? Thank you. Okay, here's number 1. We have, yes, Ace of Cups reversed, which is very fitting with what I was saying before of, like before on the path that you were on, there might have been a little bit of a plugging away your real feelings about something or denying something, because I see the Ace of Cups reversed in a situation like this as in something wants to spring and flow forward freely, just like the fountain imagery here with the cup, but we're blocking it in some way, hence the reversal. And cups in tarot are often about literally what I was just talking about before, the heart, but it's also about relationships too. It's very possible that some of you have been like moving away from a certain relationship. Maybe you left someone romantically, or in general, it could be too that you've been cutting out a lot of like relationships in your life recently that haven't been working out, or I wonder too, some of you might have been also struggling with like making new connections as well. That can mean or be one interpretation of the Ace of Cups reversed, because the Ace of Cups is about new things being, you know, number 1. It's about the introduction of new emotional and like heart energy. But either way, there's some sort of blockage there with your connections to others, leaving these things behind, and as well as the Ace of Cups reversed can also mean a lack of blessings, pile 1. So where you were before as well could also have been lacking blessings. It could have just been I see like a very dry, deserty place, metaphorically speaking. Like there just wasn't a lot of fertile ground there for you to grow your dream and follow the things that you really wanted to do, as I was saying, with like, you know, sort of that period of your life, I think, where there was a bit of a self-deceit in order to heal your heart or soothe your heart. And then we have oh yes, the Knight of Pentacles, slow and steady wins the race. You've been dedicated though. Spirit is commending you for how well you've done so far on the path that you were on before pile 1. Just because it wasn't necessarily the right path for you up until this point doesn't mean that you have not been doing well, because the Knight of Pentacles is someone who is reliable. They're someone who is steady, and on top of that, being a Pentacles card, it often brings in the energy of career and finances. So, maybe it took you a very long time, as I said, slow and steady wins the race, to build up those resources in order to make this path shift, in which case you're well on your way there, pile 1, if that applies to you. And on top of that, it could also mean that for those of you that maybe left a relationship of some sort, or you've been kind of cutting, either romantic or platonic relationships out of your life, it's very possible that part of the issue with the person you were in a relationship with, or these other people that you knew, was that the Knight of Pentacles upright can be very positive, and it is, technically not in its reverse stage, but I'm hearing intuitively that there was something about this person or these people that they were kind of going too slow with their pace of life compared to the pace that you wanted. Okay. That, or it's you wanted to go slower and they were going too fast. Maybe that's why the Knight of Pentacles is upright in your case. And also, it's very possible you might be an earth sign, pile 1. Either way, it was just a mismatch of pace with the other people. Especially with a romantic partner, it could have been they were going really slow in terms of the progress of the relationship, and you're kind of don't want to, wait that long for, the next step. Or very possible, as I said, in the opposite, it could have been that, you wanted to go faster, and they were reliable, but they weren't necessarily, you know what I mean? Just a pace mismatch. Okay. And then let us look at your other cards here. We have, the Fool. Okay, makes total sense. New beginnings, letting go of the old. And some of you might have even been, either you've moved already, or you're planning on moving too. I do kind of feel that intuitively for you. So that's also part of your new path here after this change, of course. Of course, you always have free will. You can choose to take this path or not. But if you're being encouraged by the universe, right, this is where Spirit is trying to kind of give you a nudge towards, right? So a new beginning. Some of you might have also gotten a new pet. I don't say that often with the Fool just because there's a dog in it, but I'm feeling that intuitively as well. Or you're considering getting a new pet, something along those lines. Maybe possibly a dog too, because it is a dog in the Fool card. A complete new beginning for you. And then we have the Knight of Cups reversed, which is usually a card of, I wonder if maybe some of you are considering, if you did end a romantic relationship, maybe some of you are considering just not really following or pursuing another relationship for a while. I can see that being one interpretation of the Knight of Cups reversed. So, I think you, and it's also a path of, not necessarily dreamy work, because that's the energy of the Knight of Cups. Typically upright is someone, or action taken, or someone who is in a dreamy way, or kind of romantic. Some of you, I wonder if it's you're moving more towards a more simple lifestyle. It's just more simple. It's not as dreamy and fantastic, and not necessarily to say that in terms of it's not your dream, right? But it's something that's a little bit more realistic and practical and more down to earth, I guess, is what I would say. Kind of interpreting that Knight of Cups reversed. And a new complete beginning there with the Fool. Yeah, I wonder if that was the misalignment further too, because with the Knight of Pentacles, you even see a farm in the background here. It's you wanted to move somewhere, maybe you're moving more rural too. Or either way, it's just some sort of shift towards, let's get away from the dreamy and what is no longer practical, towards let's go somewhere more practical and down to earth, as I was saying. Okay, let's grab your main tarot cards here, pile 1. Spirit, what else do you want to say to pile 1 about this new path of theirs that they're being encouraged towards? Thank you. Okay, well, this one is for sure. The World. Okay, interesting, because you got the Fool, which is a new beginning, and at the very beginning of your main spread, you got the World, which is literally ending things. So yes, you have ended a lot of things recently, or there was one major thing I think that you've already ended in the recent past, pile 1. That is exactly part of what is fueling this trajectory towards your new path, okay? Because the World is all about the curtain close. It's all about, we started this chapter and now we're closing it to start the new one with the energy of the Fool, okay? Going to greener pastures. I think you wanted something deeper too, because it's the particular imagery here is she's Forgive me, I think that's technically a kayak and not a canoe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if you know. I think she's technically in a kayak. She's kayaking away from these shallow waters towards deeper ones. It's like a deeper lifestyle, something that has more depth to it, something that's a little bit more meaningful to you. That's what I'm hearing. And then we have the Ace of Wands reversed, can mean that part of this past energy that you're moving away from too was burnout. That is the number one like life path interpretation I see with like the Ace of Wands reversed. Is like, oh man, we had a spark at one point, but now we're getting to the point of like, oh man, I'm burnt out. I can't, and as I was saying before with the rest card from your Ask Your Guides Oracle, maybe that's part of it, was that it was very chaotic. And you're like, I'm going to go move towards something more simple. So it's a little bit more sleepy in a good way, more, you don't burn yourself out more. It's something that gives you more of a feeling of being alive again, rather than just a husk at, whatever job maybe you don't enjoy anymore, or a husk in whatever town that you live in that you don't enjoy anymore. You know what I mean, pile one. And then we have the Five of Swords, which is typically a card of conflict, but this particular interpretation is they're cleaning up trash off of the path of the hiking trail. So it's clearing things out of your life that no longer serve you, cutting them away, of course, bringing in the interpretation of, the swords themselves. Cleaning up your life entirely. I think a lot of you too are maybe considering letting go of old habits that no longer serve you. I kind of see that as part of the metaphor of like cleaning up the trash. Like old habits, you're like, yeah, maybe I should stop doing that particular thing. And, maybe I should go, it could be something related to like healthier eating, or, maybe part of this more down to earth lifestyle that you're moving towards is something that does just naturally, it makes you more active and makes you outside more, where you get more of that vitamin D from the sunlight and more fresh air and cleaner water. And especially if you are moving, pile one, you're considering that here in the near future. And then we have the moon, and the moon is often about illusions. It's often about things not being what they seem. I'm going to pull the next card before I interpret that, because I'm very curious, pile one. That's a very what's the word? It's one of those cards that tends to depend a lot on the cards around it for interpretation. And then we have the Page of Wands. We have someone painting a landscape. A lot of you, maybe this is related to creativity as well. And on top of that, I think this new path is bringing you to a place where you'll be allowed to have more creativity. Okay, you'll be allowed more time to be creative as well. I think that's maybe part of the rest that you're receiving. And then I just dropped one card on the floor. 1 second, pile one. We have the Emperor kind of came out sideways. And then let me grab the one that was just on the floor. Move over in my squeaky chair. Okay. And then we have, the Empress. Oh, interesting. Mother and father energy, or masculine and feminine. These are literally like two balanced opposite energies, okay? So once again, makes me think of creativity. Empress is all about nurturing creations in different ways. Maybe you're also moving forward. If you do have like kids, or if you do have a family that's moving with you, pile one, you're moving partially for their sake, and part of this path is for the health of them and yourself, okay? So they're more nurtured where they go, or where you're going. And then the Emperor too is about protection. It's that masculine energy and the positive. And I think, sometimes I read cards when they come out sideways kind of as something that's in the balance, or it could go either way. I think it's more so you technically are looking to this new path because of like the surface level is like, oh, this is a place where it's more down to earth. This is a place where there's less chaos, and I can feel more calm and healed here with my family and my lifestyle. But underneath the surface, there's also an element of where you're going with this new path, where it actually, as I said with that keyword with the Emperor, provides greater protection in some way and more structure, and it just is like a more logical lifestyle for you on top of it, because those are all the energies of the Emperor, especially combined with the Empress too. I actually, in tarot readings, I don't see these often come out together, and so when I do see them come out together, pile one, what it means to me as a tarot reader is that this life of yours is going to be very in balance, because we have that beautiful balance of the feminine as well as the masculine energy. Okay. So, and then speaking of the moon, that's the main reason why I drew these cards, was to explain the moon as well. And that's the thing, is I think you're going to realize, as I said, that typically means illusions in tarot. You're going to realize that there's things about your life before even now you don't necessarily understand, but in retrospect you're going to be like, oh, there were a lot of illusions I was living in that time. I know we talked about like the deceit of the heart in the very beginning with the deceit card. I think that's a major part of it. Like you'll realize afterwards, wow, I really made a great move doing this thing, you know, be it a literal move, as I said, for some of you, or on top of that, it could be just like a move in terms of your direction with like career, etc. And then more of those illusions they'll just dissipate, and I don't know, it feels like everything's going to be a lot clearer. Things are just going to make a lot more sense. It's not going to be as confusing and chaotic. And so because of that beautiful energy of the masculine and the feminine coming together, it's just a place that is a good balance of everything you need. Okay. So very beautiful. I mean, it's a really good outcome here. And as I said too, with the Page of Wands, very possible that it allows you more time to be creative, because Pages of Wands in tarot are, you know, youthful energy, like, oh, we're doing new things, but it's also curiosity and explorer energy. I'm going to explore this new thing I didn't maybe have time for before with this more chaotic lifestyle. You know, even kind of makes me think of Bob Ross, you know, painting the mountains in the distance here. Maybe some of you might even be taking like art classes, because it looks like this man over here is teaching her perhaps some techniques as she's painting on the canvas. Very beautiful. So a life that is clearer, a life that is more in balance, a life that closes chapters for you that weren't necessarily, you know, working for you so well, maybe even leaving some relationships or one particular relationship behind. And then starting this new adventure towards, yes, a little bit less dreamy, a little bit more realistic of a lifestyle, but down to earth in a very good way for, you know, number one, living a life that is more honest to your heart. And then remember at the very beginning, I was talking about transition. It's going to help you grow the things that you want to have make progress. Whereas before, I think where you have been, there really wasn't a lot of room to make that progress. Okay, so you'll also see, I think, a lot of your projects growing a lot farther after this life path direction change. As I said, we have free will if you choose to choose this life path, this direction the universe is nudging you towards. But wonderful. So that's the new direction the life, or not the life, the universe is nudging you towards for your life pile one. I hope you liked the reading number one. I hope it resonated with you, and also I hope it helped you in some way, and if so, please like and comment and subscribe, and thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those three things, if not more than one. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, and I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye, Pile 1. Hi there, Pile number 2. Welcome to your reading on the direction the universe is pushing you towards. Of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the Star card from the Tarot of the Golden Wheel. But with that being said, let's put your beautiful card up here by the pine cone. And we'll start with some oracle cards and your first set of tarot cards. So, calling on spirit for your highest, best good. Can you tell us more about Pile 2's new direction they're being towards, or pushed towards? Being pushed towards. There you go. I got it out right. Thank you, Spirit. And already I'm feeling drawn to this one on the side. And you received, the card of patience. We have a bucket pouring out the water into the pond, and we have the crescent moon, so something building, waiting for something to grow. I wonder if a lot of you recently have been working on something that you really, really want to bring to fruition, but perhaps it's required a lot of your patience, Pile 2, in which case I'm feeling intuitively that a lot of this new direction is towards that progress that you're looking for finally coming to fruition. Okay, but let's keep going with your other cards. We'll grab more context and details as always. Yeah, and I feel like because of the depiction of the water here, almost like in a stair-step pattern, that this thing you've been working on has, I don't know, it's like, I don't know, intuitively it feels like it's taken a lot of different stages. I don't know if you had to kind of put a pause on something, like you did the first phase of something and then you had to put a pause on it, and then it's like you've been waiting to start the second phase of it, or like the second part of it. That's I'm hearing for some of you, at least. That should resonate. So I wonder if this is partially, this new direction is to get to that second phase, and then we have loss. So a lot of you, it's very possible that like the reason why you had to put a pause on it is because of a loss of some sort. So actually, I will grab a little tarot card on that just to gain some insight onto what the loss might have been for a lot of you. So Spirit, can you tell me more about the loss, please? Thank you. And once again, it makes me think of someone in different phases of life, or something being in different phases because of the 3 versions of the same woman here. Like having to start and stop a bunch. You might have even had to start and stop it even more than once, pile 2, I'm feeling. And then you're, okay. Clarifier is the Knight of Wands, taking action towards something you're ambitious or passionate about. Yeah, you've been raring to go. You're like, I'm so ready for this next thing to happen. I'm so ready for this new direction. But like the universe and these things kept getting in your way, it feels like, pile 2. Yeah. You're like, man, I'm so ready and raring to go. Because the Knight of Wands is someone who is, well, number one, you might be a fire sign, or you have a lot of fire placement in your chart. On top of that, the Knight of Wands is someone who's like very, not so necessarily impulsive in a negative way, especially because he is upright. You know, reversed, you might be a little bit more negative impulsive, but upright, it's like good impulsive. Like, oh man, I'm itching for this direction, and I'm passionate about this thing. I really wanted to get going, but then it's like these losses kept coming up in these different phases, making you having to kind of dole it out to different parts of your life. And then I think too, a lot of it might be a dream that you had put on the back burner. That's another really good way to put it. And now it's like this new direction is like, okay, now we can finally take that pot off the back burner, or this dream off the back burner, using as a metaphor, right? And finally go forward with it again. Because that's another thing, is the Knight of Wands. He's not as fast as the Knight of Swords, but he's the second fastest knight in tarot. And that usually means something happening rather quickly, okay? Let's grab your other tarot cards for more about the situation and where it's going, this new direction. Thank you, Spirit. We have the Ace of Wands. Yep, a new direction with our ambitions and our passions. And it's the very first card that popped out. So that does make me think that you already kind of tried to start something. Very fitting with what I was saying so far and picking up on intuitively for you, pile 2. And the Ace of Wands, too, is a new energy in terms of our passions. You got a new spark of some sort. Also, too, it makes me think a lot of you, this was something that you've carried with you from a very early part of your life. Maybe even something that you wanted to do since childhood, but you just never really got the opportunity to, or you, like I said, you tried to start it, kept running into roadblocks, and you're like, man, I can't get this going. I can't move forward. And then we have, yes, the Page of Wands reversed. So lots of fire energy. Once again, makes me think, would not be shocked if you're a fire sign, pile 2, or have a lot of that energy. Page of Wands reversed is a blockage in terms of things that we want to explore regarding our passions and our ambitions and our creativity, too, is another keyword to use. And that makes me think, once again, sorry to repeat, but it's a good confirmation of everything I've been picking up on intuitively, is we got blockages. We wanted to explore. We wanted to follow these things, but life got in the way, okay? Then we have the card of the Hierophant. Very possible that this is a return to tradition, actually, in a way for you, because the Hierophant is about the way things have been done. Also, it's a card of spiritual authority, because it does depict, technically, you know, traditionally a pope, right? And so, with spiritual authority, in your case, though, it's very possible that part of what you wanted to do was move towards a life, or this path or ambition of yours it's like something more spiritually attuned to what you actually want to do on a soul level. And I feel like this is part of that new direction, is you're going to move towards something that's more aligned with you on a spiritual level. And once again, that tradition, you know, for some of you, I like interpret it as in like, it's like something maybe like your family used to do but no longer did, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go pick up the torch again that we let go of a long time ago. Or it's very possible, like I said, I felt like some of you, this is something from childhood that you wanted to do. In that case, the tradition for you would be moving back towards what you wanted to be, perhaps, when you grew up. Like, you know, when you were a kid, people ask you, what do you want to be when you grew up? You know, kids would say, oh, I don't know, I want to be a nurse or an astronaut or whatever, insert career here. I think this might be that for you, hence the tradition, pile 2. Going back to who you were and what your heart said at a very early age. And then we have the Six of Pentacles. Wonderful. It's a card of charity and fairness and equilibrium with finances. It's also a direction you're being nudged towards in terms of things being more financially fair to you, and also a place of greater charity. Some of you might actually be wanting to open a charity of some sort, or a nonprofit, or at the same time, if not literally a charity or nonprofit, it's something that allows you to be more charitable, or like it's a lifestyle that's more charitable to you in some way, okay? More fair, more balanced. It's a lifestyle and a path that is, you know what it feels like to me, pile 2, especially next to the Hierophant, because that brings a very spiritual element to this reading. I think what you were doing before that you, like, before you chose to start this path, and even before, like, you maybe had that kind of pause and start pattern where you had a hard time getting a kickstart because of, like, losses that were, took your attention away from it. I think that path you had before was something that was, what's the best way to put it? I'm sorry I'm hesitating, but I want to make sure I'm putting it the right way for you, pile 2. Okay, the word spiritually bankrupt, or the phrase spiritually bankrupt, is coming to mind. And I don't say that in the way that I think that you were spiritually bankrupt, but I think before what you were doing, before you're like, oh, I want to go back to what this is, but I'm having a hard time getting it started. Like, you know, say it was a job that felt like very spiritually bankrupt, like say it just sucked your soul out, and like what you were doing there didn't feel like it was actually contributing to anything that felt meaningful to you. Like, that's one example. Or could maybe even like you had like a moral conflict with the company you were working for, and that brought you to this idea of, well, maybe I should go back to that thing I really wanted to do when I was younger. Okay. And then that's part of what you're moving towards, is that spiritual wealth instead of spiritual bankruptcy, because of the beauty of the energies of the Hierophant and the Six of Pentacles upright combined. Okay, so that's kind of what I was getting to, because I was like, I feel like wherever your life felt spiritually bankrupt before, or like where you were at that felt that way, I should say, that's part of what's going to change with this new direction, should you choose to go in that, that direction, right? So it's more spiritually aligned with who you are. Beautiful energy here, pile 2 so far. Let's keep going. We'll get your main tarot spread. Yeah. Some of you, the loss might have actually been as well, like a loss of ambition. Maybe you had a hard time also finding motivation every once in a while, and that's kind of why it's been this like stop, start thing. Let's keep going. Then we have the Ace of Cups reversed at the very beginning. Yes, we lacked the blessings we needed to get this going. Once again, that makes me think of like that spiritual kind of bankruptcy term I was mentioning before, because although the Cups suit in tarot isn't necessarily a spiritual suit, it is the suit of the heart and our relationships and our connections and how we feel deep down. And an Ace of Cups reversed is like, especially as the first card that came out, is like you were in a place that didn't feel fulfilling. That's a really good word to use in addition to the phrase spiritually bankrupt. It lacked those blessings, like I was saying. It lacked new energy in terms of making you feel alive with your heart. Okay, that's what you're moving away from. And then we have the Hanged Man. Sure gave you new perspective, though. Maybe you thought that that path was meant for you. You thought, well, this is what society tells me to do, or this is what people expect me to do, or this is what I think will bring me the most happiness. But when you finally got there, pile 2, that turned on its head with the Hangman, because it's all about a perspective change. We're like, oh, actually, wait a minute. Maybe that's not what I really wanted, okay? And so then I think your mind and your heart returned back to a little bit of that inner child energy. What did I want as a child? And you realized, oh, that's what fulfills me. That's what actually is my true North Star here, okay? Energy leading into it. Then we have, is the heart of the matter, the 10 of Pentacles. You're also moving towards a new direction that allows you more time for family. Okay, 10 of Pentacles is often about family, especially in terms of our legacy and generations. Spending more time with family as well in terms of, you know, I wonder too, because remember I said the Hierophant can sometimes mean tradition in terms of like we're doing something that our family used to do, but like they dropped the torch and now you're picking up the torch again. That's just another synchronicity to me for those of you that resonated with that definitely like you're moving towards a direction here of greater connection with the generations before you, because 10 of Pentacles is so anchored around inheritance and legacy and what do we pass down through our blood, especially in terms of the things that we can do, being an Earth card with Pentacles. Okay, so wonderful. Then we have the Knight of Swords. You're also moving in a direction that's going to go a lot faster. That's the fastest knight in tarot, is the Knight of Swords. I think I mentioned that before when I was talking about the Knight of Wands being the second fastest, okay? Life's going to go a lot faster, I think, especially with that progress you wanted to be made, that you had to keep starting and stopping on this thing that you really wanted, right, pile 2? Things are going to start going wicked fast, okay? Especially, too, in terms of progress regarding planning and, like, your strategy for this thing that you want to do, because the Knight of Swords being an air card is all about the mind. It's all about how do we tackle this particular situation like a tactician, right? Thinking and planning a strategy of some sort and doing it in a very intelligent way. It's also a life that feels to me a lot clearer. Now, I'm hearing intuitively it might not make you as much money. I think that maybe is one of the reasons why in the beginning you went like on a different path that wasn't necessarily what you wanted to do when you were a kid. Maybe you thought money would fulfill you, and then we had that hangman reversed perspective switch, and we were like, oh, maybe that isn't enough to make me happy. Because I kind of see with that Knight of Swords being a winter card, it kind of feels like more barren. Not necessarily like it's not poverty, right? Pile 2, not necessarily poverty, because I do see the beauty of the Six of Pentacles, meaning fair finances, okay? But at the same time, it's like it just doesn't even matter in terms of the money, because it's like finally I'm living in a place that makes sense and it's just somewhere clear, and it's not spiritually bankrupt like that other place, you know, you might have been before, okay? And then we have beautiful Page of Pentacles. Exploring a new career, exploring a new way to make money, exploring new opportunities with finance and career too. I think eventually it's going to lead you to a new career, pile 2. And some of you might be like, well, duh, that's kind of what I wanted to change in the first place, right? Well, then that's just another confirmation. Yes, this is moving you towards a new career, because the pages in general in tarot are about exploring new things, exploring things with youthful energy and curiosity in mind. And being a Pentacles card, he's all about, okay, we're going to explore things regarding money and career and stability and our resources, etc. So it's a place of plenty as well. So actually, it might not necessarily be sparser or more barren in finances, like for like ever than, you know, your path before pile 2, because I do see like then you moving to this field of wheat with the Page of Pentacles, which of course means plenty, right? We always think of, you know, a traditional symbol of having enough is having bread, right, which is made out of wheat. So being in the field of wheat is like we have plenty of resources around us to make that metaphorical bread that we need to survive, okay? But on top of that, you won't just feel fulfilled in terms of your finances and your career. You'll also feel fulfilled in terms of your heart and your spirituality, and at least how your spirituality connects to what you're actually physically doing on this new path, should you choose to go this way. So you had a lot of bumps. It's been, well, specifically a lot of speed bumps, I can tell you, is from what I'm feeling here. You've had starts and stops, I think. I think you've had to kind of maybe do this in a very planned, tactful way, you know, thinking like a tactician, as I said, with the Knight of Swords. Maybe that's why you've had to make those starts and those stops, because it's like you had to kind of accrue a little bit before you could move to the next step, and then you had to do this thing, and then you can move on to the next step. But I can tell you this, pile 2, the universe is telling you today you're well on your way towards that exact thing that I think you've already been pivoting towards. So it's not necessarily a new direction in terms of, you know, shocker, big surprise, because I think you've already been planning for it. You've already been wanting it deep down, and, you know, maybe putting some money away for it, and, you know, kind of planning, say if it is a career change for you specifically, planning an exit that's, you know, smooth and things like that, moving to a new career, etc. But yeah, not a shock, but probably a relief to hear. Okay, you're like, oh, finally, I'm going to finally be able to move towards this thing, right? Because we do see that future progress. All hinging on that perspective shift you had. Okay? That was the key to this new doorway, and you're opening it very soon. Wonderful. So that was your reading for today, pile number 2. I hope that you liked it and that it resonated, and number 1, that it helped you in some way. That's my main goal with these readings on Lone Pine Tarot. So if it did resonate, you liked it, etc., please like the video, please comment down below, please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and thank you if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more than one. And as we say in our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, and I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye. Hi there, pile number 3. Welcome to your new direction you're being nudged towards reading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the beautiful star card of the Ostara Tarot. Wonderful. We'll put that gorgeous card up here by the pine cone. And we'll start your reading today with a combination of tarot and oracle cards. So, calling on spirit for your highest, best good. Can you tell us what direction that's new that the universe is nudging pile 3 towards? Thank you. Let's take a glimpse into where your life path is wending here. Okay, pile 3, first card for you today is intuition. Well, I can tell you this, you already have a gut feeling about it, pile 3. Especially if you've been getting an inkling recently, that, like I said, intuitive feeling, that gut sense deep down, like, maybe I should do this thing. Maybe I should go in this direction. That's a really big hint as to where this reading is going. Okay, so we also, of course, have a crescent moon, things building, things waning sometimes too. I guess it depends on if it's a waning or a waxing crescent. So I think, though, specifically for you, no matter what kind of crescent moon it is, I know I'm hearing waning. And I don't mean that in a negative way, pile 3. I mean that in terms of something kind of maybe slowing down a bit. But let's, of course, grab some more details here from your other cards. Spirit, what else do you want to say to pile 3 about this? Waning in terms of, I think, it's a less chaotic path. Something a bit more smooth. Okay, then we have overthinking, number 46, which added together for 6 equals 10. So the completion of something finally ending, so waning, as I was saying, is kind of retreating. And overthinking, of course, we always associate with anxiety, pondering over things too much. Maybe you tend to lay in bed, blah, blah, blah. I guess I can't get the words out. You tend to stay up late at night in bed. There you go, I got the phrase out. Worrying a lot recently, pile 3. Overthinking. That's another really good hint as to where this new direction you're being nudged towards is. Because not only you've got an intuitive sense about it, I think, number 2, you've been thinking about it a lot, maybe a little bit even too much in terms of your anxiety or that. And it's possible that what you're overthinking about is the universe kind of nudging you away from something that no longer serves you. Okay, that's what I'm feeling intuitively, but we'll grab your tarot cards, of course, too, to start. Excuse me. So, Spirit, some tarot cards for pile 3. What is this all about? What have they been overthinking about? What's waning? Excuse me once again. I guess I have kind of a scratchy throat today. Letting go of the past, pile 3. 6 of Cups often can be about our family or siblings specifically, because it looks like a sister and a brother. But reversed, it's letting go of that past. It's very possible that there's been some issues with your family recently, maybe issues specifically with a sibling, pile 3. Maybe literally a brother or a sister of yours, as I said, sibling. Let's keep going. I want to see what the next card is to interpret that further. We have the Hangman reversed. You might have been made a little bit of a martyr too. Or you've been worrying about your place in your family. Or it's possible that a sibling of yours recently has been made a martyr or has left. And on top of that, beyond the interpretation of the Hangman as a martyr, it can also mean, well, sometimes, especially reversed, it can mean someone has been acting like a victim. So I almost wonder if in the family situation there's been a feeling of like being a victim, or maybe like the sibling that left felt like they were a victim in some way and it kind of split the family apart. Maybe that's why you've been overthinking about it a lot, or very possible you've been considering leaving some of the maybe more toxic potentially members of your family to protect your own mental health and your own emotional health as well, pile 3. Okay, and the Hangman on top of that can also mean a new perspective. Being reversed, it can mean that these people from our past, well, yeah, it could also be not just family, but let's just keep going with family for now, but it could also be friends, right? They were not willing to entertain a new perspective. That's what the Hangman reversed can mean. And so you're like, I don't really know if this is the right place for me anymore, because these people they won't think of things in new ways. They're not open-minded. They won't change their mind, or yeah, it just feels like it, I don't know, just not a good place for you, pile 3. So I think that's what you're moving away from. And if you've been having a lot of anxiety or overthinking about that recently, that's your intuition telling you that this is maybe something to adjust, part of the new direction of what you're maybe moving away from. Okay, but let's keep going. Actually, I'll do one more shuffle for the next. Actually, I'm going to take that one because it just flipped out in my hand. But we'll do one more shuffle. Page of Wands. There we go. Didn't even need to pull it out. So first up we have, this was the, well, speaking of the star, you have the star reversed. Okay, so moving in a direction, especially next to the Page of Wands. You weren't able to fulfill your hopes and your dreams regarding what you were actually ambitious about too. It's very possible that maybe some of the things this people from your past or your family said inhibited your ambitions. Like maybe they told you weren't good enough for something. Maybe that was some of the closed-mindedness that you were dealing with. Very possible too that you didn't have hope or faith in your ability to follow your passions or follow the things that you were ambitious about, or your creativity. That's another really good keyword to use with the Page of Wands because of all of this. That too, or maybe the way that, and now we're getting into family dynamics here, and I will always tell you I'm not like an official, I'm not licensed psychologist or anything or therapist, but sometimes from what I know, family dynamics can teach us certain beliefs about ourselves that aren't necessarily true, but we're exposed to those beliefs in childhood. And of course, children don't have that advanced critical thinking and reasoning to go, that thing that adult is telling me, maybe it isn't true about myself. So we internalize it. We take that mantle on of I am, not good enough, or I am, I'm not capable, or whatever limiting beliefs potentially that you wrestle and struggle with, pile 3. I think that's part of what you're moving away from. They inhibited your hope or your faith in yourself and your dreams in the past, but that's part of what this new energy of the Page of Wands is all about. Is now we're going to start exploring some of those things that we were interested in or ambitious about that we didn't feel good enough for before. So actually, the new direction kind of feels like an internal one, pile 3 for you. Of course, there's going to be, as always when we have new directions internally, there's going to be, some external movement here, but I think a lot of this new direction is really a new direction of the spirit is what I'm hearing specifically intuitively here for you, okay? To not feel like you have to be that martyr or that victim or that, insert limiting belief type person here. Like you don't have to be what other people from your past said you were. One, you already know that you aren't, pile 3, or like you aren't, is what I'm hearing from spirit actually. It's like you, like, for example, if the idea or the limiting belief was, I am not good enough, and you believed that for a major portion of your life up until this point, okay, that's part of what you're moving away from is, well, wait a minute. Why did I not think I was good enough? Maybe the people I was around were just not very open-minded, or they were a bit toxic, or, they wanted a victim to pick on, etc. So, yeah, new direction internally. Let's keep going with your tarot cards, your main tarot spread. It's a change in the mind. As you can see here, it's like a spirit guide touching someone's mind in the overthinking card. We're ending that cycle. And so what you were waning, what I was saying before, pile 3, when I was like, yeah, I feel like it's waning. Something's waning down. It's the waning of your lack of self-confidence in things. And then we have, yes, okay, the 6 of Swords reversed, very fitting for a reading like this. It's kind of a synchronicity. It's good confirmation of what I was picking up on so far. 6 of Swords reversed can mean, especially as the first card, that we felt limited in some way in terms of moving away from something. So it's could represent an external journey where you were kind of stuck in one place. Maybe you were kind of stuck with this particular family member or people from your past, etc. And it's like you couldn't move away from them. You couldn't get away. And it's just like, no wonder why maybe you clung to those beliefs for a very long time about yourself that were imprinted on you by these people from your past, okay? It can also mean a literal, a metaphorical, like, internal journey of, like, not being able to move away from, these things that have been whispering in your ear in terms of your self-confidence. And I say whisper in your ear specifically because it's a snake following this person in the boat. like a snake in the grass. And that's a phrase we often use to mean, someone being kind of sneaky that we don't expect. So maybe, on top of that, it's a new direction in terms of, like, you've been doing this realizing of maybe what these people were saying were just the lies of, like a snake in the grass would whisper. Maybe I can move away from that. Maybe I'm not bogged down by what they thought or tried to tell me to believe in. Okay. And then we have the Hierophant, which is often about our traditions, things from the past. So we have a lot of past energy coming up here once again with the Hierophant. And, typically upright, it can mean traditions in the positive way and authority spiritually in the positive way. So being your recent past card, it's like you finally have been realizing the authority within yourself to, especially in combination with the meaning of tradition here, to rewrite, which is very interesting because you have books here, right? There's a book on her face and there's pages that are falling out. It's like the pages of the story you were telling yourself about yourself that these other people wrote for you. You didn't even write it yourself, pile 3. They're just falling away. They're going away and you're like, well, wait a minute, actually, this kind of feels like a blank book here. Or it's like something that you can write now or something that you have to rewrite about your own past because you were seeing it in a flawed way before because of the perspectives that were shoved upon you by people that were, like I said, that hangman reversed energy, okay? You finally can define your own tradition, and then we have the Knight of Wands is the heart of the matter, beautiful. I'm going to take action with focus, especially because this particular interpretation of the Knight of Wands, she's looking very dedicatedly with that ray of light expanding from her eyes. I finally see, I'm enlightened now. I understand that wasn't the truth, okay? Especially when it comes to our, once again, ambitions, because just like the Page of Wands we talked about before, this is the Knight of Wands. It's about, as I said, ambitions. Excuse me. Our ambitions and our creativity, the things we want to explore in that way, as well as our passions. What do we actually feel alive about is very fiery energy here with tarot, especially the wand suit, okay? Taking action, finally. So this new direction is not being stuck anymore. I can see clearly now. My eyes are opened. I understand that this thing that I have in my hand, like she's holding the staff or the wand here, is actually something of power rather than something holding me back, or that, it's like the light of truth finally shining through and you're like, oh, I don't have to drag that anchor on my heel anymore mentally, okay? Definitely new direction internally. And then we have the Page of Swords reversed. So in the near future, a lot of this new direction is going to be kind of working through a lot of those thoughts about yourself. The Page of Swords, being swords, is air, which is the mental side of tarot. It's about our mind. It's about the way we think. It's about the way we speak. You're going to be doing a lot of processing about the way that you speak to yourself, number one. You're also going to be doing a lot of processing about the way that you think about yourself. So I think you've already made some progress here, pile 3. Obviously, with the Hierophant especially, it's like, okay, we're rewriting the tradition of who am I? Okay, or how do I see myself? But on top of that, it's going to be more of the, I don't know, it's like before it was like understanding that the old story wasn't the truth. And now with the Page of Swords reversed, it's like working through that reversed energy of, it's like rewriting the new, finally seeing clearly, whereas before it was a bit foggy because of everything going on. And even, once again, that makes me think of the Six of Swords. I don't know if you can see it a little bit. I'll move it. It's literally moving through a foggy path, moving into the fog. I wonder if a lot of you have been really redefining yourselves completely. Some of you might have actually literally moved, or you're going to literally move too in a physical way, because you have this ability to take action now. Beautiful. And then next to the Page of Swords reversed, we have Strength. That's where you're headed, pile 3. This is the new direction's final outcome. And Strength is confidence. It's, this is who I am, deal with it. Okay. It's, literally, she's sitting there. Normally, typically, it's a maiden who is prying open the jaws of a lion. This one is a dragon, right? She has her hand on her heart. She's not afraid to show it. Here's my heart, but she's also confident in what her heart says, okay? She's also holding up cities on her shoulders. Another really good metaphor for strength. Holding up a community on your shoulders. I wonder if you're maybe even finding a whole new community, which, like I said, some of you might be literally physically moving too, and interesting. It kind of makes me think with the eye patch on her eye was that she was wounded in the way that she saw things before, but now she knows that perspective of myself was wounded. So I'm going to heal it now. I'm going to put an eye patch over it and then see clearly with the other eye. Okay, so once again, this whole new direction is a whole perspective shift internally about yourself that leads to outward physical action taken that is more resonant and in tune with these things that you are realizing, number one, weren't true. And then after that, with the Page of Swords reversed energy, working through all of that to understand, well, what is the actual new truth of myself and my story, okay? So if you've been having a gut feeling recently, pile 3, about things related to this, hence the intuition card, where you're like, I don't know. Maybe I should take action more towards what I felt ashamed of before, or what other people told me, I couldn't do, or, what other, limiting beliefs you might have had in the past because of other people, and or more specifically for some of you, your family. Follow that gut intuition. Follow where your intuition is telling you to go. And if you've been overthinking about something recently, it's for a reason. It's your spirit trying to tell you there's something here that I need to look at more closely and redefine, okay? So don't be afraid to shift your perspective, pile 3. Don't be afraid to critically analyze narratives about yourself that you believed in the past that might not necessarily be true. And don't be afraid to stand in your own confidence. And on top of that, in general, because of strength being your outcome, this is a path in any direction towards greater confidence. So yes, there is an external journey of, actions you take after all these realizations, but really this is a huge pivot internally with your heart and your mind here, pile 3, okay? And a very beautiful one. One where you feel unburdened by other narratives that don't serve you anymore, that you've been telling yourself or other people put in your head in the first place is really how I should say it, okay? So, petting dragons, taming dragons, holding communities on your shoulders. Maybe literally, I don't know. Maybe you'll actually build a new community of some sort. Because that's often what happens if we do decide to move away from toxic elements of our family as we build found family somewhere else, okay? So it's kind of what I mean, I think, potentially by the communities on your shoulders is like a found family of some sort. Wonderful. Seeing clearly. Okay. So that was your reading today on the new direction you're being nudged towards by the universe. I hope, number one, it was helpful. It's my main goal with these readings, right? But also that you liked it and it resonated. And if so, please like the reading. Please comment down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more than one. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, pile 3. And hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye.